Oh yes, you're welcome back to African Colonization TV. I'm Jeffan History. In fact, what is going on in this country called Nigeria, it is something that is surprising and shocking. Anybody who tells you that the government did not know what is happening or what is going on, the person is lying. Mostly the president and the Senate and the vice president, they are number one people who knows what is happening. In this video, you will see it and you will see everything by yourself. How Mike Arnold, the US former mayor, he has now come out to expose the atrocity of the Senate House in this country. How they plan, how they attack him, and how they do him a lot of things due to his exposing the things they are doing and the things that is going on in Nigeria. In fact, this is a very shocking video that everybody needs to listen to and everybody needs to understand what is going on in Nigeria, because at the end, they will tell you that they are on top of it. They are working to make sure that they wipe out insecurity in Nigeria, not knowing that they are not on top of anything. They are the one even sponsoring this terrorism and causing a lot of things, buying a lot of people in the name of they are chasing for power and they are chasing for posts all around. According to headline, it says US Senator review how Nigerian Senate attack him over Christian genocide. He exposed to Trump. This is coming from Mike Arnold, the US former mayor. So he said that they attack him as in very heavily due to the thing he's exposing to the US government and to the world. Let everybody see the evil that is going on in the country. So I would like you to watch it. As you're about to watch, like, subscribe, and make sure you share it for everyone to see things going on in Nigeria.
Officials are at a minimum in denial of the government's role. In October, several officials, including the Deputy Speaker of the Nigerian House and the Chairman of the House Committee on Foreign Affairs, and a range of anonymous officials linked to the President, directly attacked me for saying that, quote, officials in Nigeria are ignoring or even facilitating the mass murder of Christians by Islamic jihadists. Last
That was American Senator Ted Cruz accusing Nigeria's Deputy Speaker Benjamin Kalu. Benjamin Kalu is a Nigerian Christian from southeast Nigeria who happens to be number 6 person in position of authority in Nigeria, because even he, Benjamin Kalu, is always reminding everyone who cares to listen that he is number 6. Now you heard the senator representing Texas in the United States, Ted Cruz, saying that because he raised the issue of Christian genocide in Nigeria, that he was attacked by people in Tinubu's government, and particularly the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, that happens to be Benjamin Kalu. Now, why should Benjamin Kalu be the one leading the attack against Ted Cruz? Don't forget that Ted Cruz has a bill in the United States Congress. The bill is titled Nigeria Religious Freedom Accountability Act 2025, in which he was drawing attention to the issue of Christian genocide in Nigeria, that Christians are being killed and Nigerian government officials are doing nothing to stop the killings. Now, you can my perception is Why did Benjamin Carlo allow himself to be used by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, being a Christian, knowing the persecution that Christians passes through in Nigeria? And somebody, American government is drawing attention to it. The president of the United States drawing attention to it, and the man who proposed a bill to tackle it, you allow yourself to be used, because the only reason why they could have given him that assignment is because he's a Christian. So the narrative is that, how can you say that Christians are being killed when I am here? I'm number 6. So with that kind of mindset of showing that Christians are not, it's not true, I'm a Christian, I can tell you the fact, after all, I'm a Christian too. So that's why they sent him on that errand. Remember, it was a strategy of the Tinubu administration to front Christians in the issue of Christian genocide in Nigeria. That was why Daniel Buwala was the person they sent around the world to go and convince the world by visiting major television networks in America and Europe to say that there is nothing like Christian genocide. After all, he's a Christian. Are you getting it? That was the same thing that happened in Benue State. Okay? The same thing happened in Benue State when the governor of Benue State wanted to present himself as being a reverend, that he knows better, and the Americans brushed him aside. And they were listening rather to Bishop Anabe and others who had already testified before the U.S. Congress about 2 or 3 times, drawing attention to Christian genocide in Benue State and how their people are being killed and their lands taken over. And the government of Nigeria is doing nothing to return the land back to the people, or even to help the people return back to their ancestral homes. It was also the same packaging that they did for Remi Tinubu when she also embarked on a diplomacy charm in America. Remember the trending video where Donald Trump recognized her as a prayer session, prayer program in America. And what was that? What was the essence of that? It was to announce that the First Lady of Nigeria is a pastor, pastoring of one of the biggest, is a pastor in one of the biggest churches in Nigeria. In fact, Trump introduced her that day as being a pastor in the biggest church in Nigeria. So the narrative was that, how can Christians be genocided on when the First Lady is a Christian and all that? That was the narrative that they want to pass. And obviously the Deputy Speaker fell into that trap. But there are some message they should send you and you say you're not going, knowing that when the people find out, they will not be happy. Because the truth be told, in as much as the American intervention has yet to stop the killings of Christians in the North Central and the Middle Belt and part of Northwest and all that, there is no doubt about it that the issue of Christian genocide had drawn attention to Nigerian government. And some of the policies, some of the things that were being overlooked before, Nigerian government had paying attention, knowing fully well that the world is watching. Okay? So that attention was necessary. That attention was necessary. But when you are a Christian and they want to use you for that kind of thing, you ought to excuse yourself. And even if you are to be there, don't be combative. Because from what Ted Cruz is telling us, he said the deputy speaker was attacking him. It means that he didn't use diplomatic words, because if he was use diplomatic finesse, okay, Ted Cruz would not have mentioned that he was attacking him. He was leading the charge in attacking him. So it therefore means that he took his job seriously, believing that what is important for him is politics, to enhance his career in politics. Because after all, he is one of those being rumored to have a governorship interest in Abia State and all that. So he has to do everything he had to do to please the establishment, to please Tinubu, by seen to have protested in a way that even the congressman, Senator Ted Cruz, was able to consider his intervention an attack on him. And what was the reason for the attack? Because Ted Cruz said the government in which Benjamin Kano is a member is doing nothing to stop the killings. Okay? Naturally, what they ought to be doing is to how to stop the killings instead of going on diplomatic offensive and attacks. But they were not doing that. All they were doing is to buy time so that the election will come and go. And then their election will be confirmed, whether for good or for ill. So it is very unfortunate that a Christian who ought to know better, will be insulting or attacking American senator for drawing attention to the issue of Christian genocide in Nigeria. Because the truth be told, the issue of Christian genocide had been there even before Benjamin Kano became deputy speaker. And it will still be there and he will live, given the fact that there seems to be no urgency in addressing it. Because despite the effort that Americans had made to draw attention to it, and the Christmas Day bombing, killings are still going on in the Christian heartlands in the north in a manner that is unprecedented. So the problem had not yet been solved. But the issue is this: if you are a Christian and you are serving in government, you don't have to be, you ought to know the truth. You ought to know the truth of what is going on in Plateau, Benue, Taraba, parts of Adamawa, or Kaduna South and all these places. So that when you have opportunity to make an intervention, you make an intervention that will bring permanent solution. Not for you to go and be denying it. Because by attacking Ted Cruz, Benjamin Kano allegedly is denying that there was Christian genocide. Is denying that government is not doing anything. Because the government is not doing anything tangible to stop the killings. That is the gospel truth. If you go to the epicenter of the issue of Christian genocide in Nigeria, the government is doing nothing to solve the problem. Many swaths of land in the North Central have become desolate, taken over by strangers, the original inhabitants leaving their ancestral homes. And you hardly hear Nigerian government mention working towards relocating them. Instead, what you hear in the echo chamber of the Nigerian media establishment is about the need to rehabilitate the terrorists and give them a new lease of life. Nobody's talking about rebuilding the communities. Nobody's talking about driving away the terrorists that have taken over communities and all that. Nobody's even talking about compensation for lives that were lost. Lives were just mere figures, numbers in press statements. So basically, they have done nothing about it. But what is disturbing is for a Christian who should know better to be attacking those who want to bring help. Okay, the reason why the Americans like Ted Cruz are bringing the attention to Nigeria is because they have seen that the Christians are helpless, literally. And you can see that helplessness when you see supposed top government officials who are Christians going all the way to be attacking those who want to bring help just to please their paymasters. You see it from Daniel Boala to Reno Mokri and all this. Even Reno Mokri, even Femi Fane-Kayode, if you go to their old videos, they acknowledge Christian genocide, killings and all that. But all of a sudden, it is not an issue that should be talked about. So anybody who talks about it is attacked. And we didn't know. If the Cruz didn't tell us, we are not aware that Benjamin Kanu joined Femi Fane-Kayode, Daniel Boala, Reno Mokri, and all others that were in denial of what their fellow Christians were passing through in the epicenters of Christian genocide in Nigeria. The other day I had a pastor saying that the Christian Association of Nigeria, Northern Nigeria, they have broken away from CAN, the national CAN. That their reason was that they are passing through hell, but the Southern CAN are moving around as if nothing is happening. And that is a bad and sad commentary on Christianity in Nigeria. I don't know what to think about the revelation by Senator Ted Cruz that Nigeria Deputy Speaker Benjamin Kanu was among those that were attacking him for drawing attention to Christian genocide in Nigeria and drawing attention to the complicity of Nigerian government in stopping the killings of Christians in Nigeria. Whatever is your position, let's hear from you at the comment section.
Oh yes, this man he have explained everything the way it is. In fact, that is why we used to say that Nigeria need to be dismantled. Nigeria need to be dismantled. The government you are seeing, they are not human beings. You don't even to classify them as human beings. They are not, because they drink blood. They will be seeing evil things happening every day. They will never do as if something is happening. The only people they are talking about it is rehabilitation of terrorists back to the society. But we have never seen them talk about the people that they have chased away from their community, the people the Boko Haram have died, and how to stop them. Instead of it, it is for them to, for we hearing that they want to rehabilitate back this Boko Haram back to the society, that they are our brothers and they are prodigal sons. that they need to come back. But what about the people that they have been doing something for how many years now? But none of you has been talking about it. You see, politics in Nigeria, politics in Africa, mostly in Nigeria, is very deadly. Once you are in power, once you are in politics, other things people is saying will be like just to talk, because they will never listen and they will be doing it as if it is not human being that is dying. Because what we are seeing is human blood sacrifice. That is what we are seeing everywhere in Nigeria. Because those things that is happening is not affecting them. It is not. The worst profit is that they used to use the Christians to go and attack the people who want to come and save the Christian dying in Nigeria. They used to use the Christians. Tinubu used to use Christians to go and attack America, to go and attack Israel, and to go and attack other bodies that want to help the Christian in Nigeria. They will use any Christian pastor or Christian politician or any Christian at all that the world is looking. They will now pay him and he will start doing anyhow. There is Benjamin Carlo. The worst prophet is a Christian and is also from the eastern region. I hope the politics is very, very deadly and wicked. So some people will be saying that because of that, the east is quiet and they are not is not being affected. That is why he's now talking as if that Nigeria is cool, not knowing that everywhere you go in Nigeria today, these Boko Haram, these Fulanis, terrorists, Boko Haram has already surrounded everywhere. But for you to come out and to speak the truth, you prefer to lie and to lie because of power. Because of power, it's only God that will pay them. Just watch by yourself what uh, Mike Arnold said here concerning things going on in Nigeria.
Arise International, which today runs schools for more than 600 displaced children in the camps that the Nigerian government says doesn't exist. He's a former mayor of Waco, Texas. And he is the author of Epicenter, Nigeria, Radical Islam, and the War for Global Order, a #1 bestseller. Mike. Hello, Mike.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Everything I'm about to say is factual, so I have 19 pages of references. If anybody wants to question anything I say, it's right here, because some of it might be shocking. Nigeria, the 6th largest nation on earth, on track to be the 3rd largest by 2050. Yeah. Top 5 OPEC, $1 trillion in minerals, a cultural powerhouse. Nigerians are among the most educated and wealthy in the United States, and they do it with integrity, sharing the values that made America great. Last year, General Michael Langley, AFRICOM, declared the region anchored by northern Nigeria as the epicenter of global terror. ISIS, Al-Qaeda, others call it home. Their stated ambition, full Sharia across Nigeria, and then a global jihad launch pad. The recent Old Dominion shooter was radicalized in Nigeria. 2 scenarios. America's greatest African ally, innovative, peaceful, and prosperous, or the greatest security threat of the next generation, a Sharia exporting giant. A little bit of history. In 1804, Usman Dan Fodio waged a jihad and founded the Sokoto Caliphate, Africa's largest pre-colonial empire. Beheading, raping, destruction, displacement, 2 million slaves at its peak. This caliphate has never ended. That's North Nigeria. The British found 2 worlds, brutal Sharia North and vibrant, friendly South. They kept the caliphate intact as enforcers, indirect rule they called it, then merged the two in 1914. The South declared independence in 1967, Biafra. The civil war that followed, the British backed the North, which blockaded the South, shot down Red Cross planes. Up to 3 million, mostly children, starved to death. The South fell in 1970. Since then, power has stayed in the North by design, the Caliphate. The current constitution, imposed by Northern military dictator, mentions Sharia in Islamic terms 165 times. Christianity, 0. At least $9 billion a year in blood minerals are looted mainly by China, paying jihadis and corrupting military and political officials. It was President Goodluck Jonathan in his living room that leaned in and informed me about that. I know a lot of people there. I've been there a lot. Most of this is firsthand. Some key people that have been involved in this. Barack Obama unleashed the current genocide. In 2010, my first trip, Nigeria had an accidental Christian president, Goodluck Jonathan. Booming economy, only nation on earth where radical Islam was being pushed back. No slaughter, hardly any displaced people, just from random stuff. A northern warlord challenged Muhammadu Buhari, publicly called for Sharia law across Nigeria and globally. Boko Haram chose him to mediate with the government. Tinubu helped get him in office, the current president. David Axelrod was his campaign advisor. Obama blocked U.S. counterterrorism support to Jonathan, blocked other nations from helping. Jihadists flooded in from North Africa, villages massacred, millions displaced, raped, enslaved, kidnapped, churches burned. Buhari ran on ending the insecurity. It only got worse. Another person, the Sultan of Sokoto. He's like Pope and King to 108 million Muslims. Dan Fodio's 20th generation successor. He was a Nigerian general deployed to Pakistan and Afghanistan during the War on Terror, when we captured Nigerian fighters alongside Al-Qaeda and the Taliban. He returned and assumed the throne in 2006, and international terror tactics and organizations appeared soon after. He has never decreed an end to the killing or mineral looting in his domain, but he's called social media a terror organization. In 2025, he publicly supported the push for Sharia in traditionally Christian southern states. President Bola Tinubu, if that's his real name. In 1993, he forfeited $460,000 to a federal court in Chicago and fled the United States. That was proceeds from a heroin trafficking ring, which, by the way, heroin funds 37% of jihad around the world. He has appointed a man to rewrite the national curriculum whose defining credential is the book, The Islamization of Knowledge, which explicitly calls for intellectual jihad to oust Western education from nursery schools up to universities. This is academic Boko Haram by definition. And this is the guy that Tinubu put in charge of the curriculum of 50 million African Nigerian children. His new defense chief called the terrorists prodigal sons who deserve rehabilitation. That's the defense chief. NSA Nuhu Rabadu personally called me on October 5th to be Nigeria's Jane Fonda. It is documented he armed Miyadi Allah, the Fulani militia chaired by the Sultan and named in HR 7457 for potential FEO organization. He has publicly called the terrorists brothers. Mossad Bulus, Trump's senior advisor for Africa and the Middle East, holds multiple citizenships, including Nigerian, lived in Lagos for decades. He parrots verbatim talking points of terror-linked northern imams. He is CEO of his family company, which currently profits from multi-billion-dollar no-bid contracts issued by the Tinubu administration, issued to his business partner. He sells the heavy equipment to build the no-bid $13 billion in projects. This is Trump's senior advisor. He's also Tiffany Trump's father-in-law. Examples of ongoing failures and impunity. Ngoshe, Borno State, wiped out in the Gwoza massacre of 2014. The government recently assured refugees in Cameroon it was safe for them to return, paid them to return. Within weeks, on March 3rd, Boko Haram slaughtered dozens, more than 300 abducted into slavery, including the wife and daughter of a friend of mine. The military was largely AWOL. The attacks continue there. Deborah Samuel Yakubu, 2022, college student. After finals, she posted on WhatsApp, "Jesus is the greatest. He helped me pass my exams." The next day on campus, as professors and police watched, she was beaten, stoned, tires heaped on her, and burned alive, while students filmed selfies in front of the flames celebrating. The deputy imam of the National Mosque, who performed President Buhari's daughter's wedding, publicly justified the killing within 24 hours on his own Twitter account. No one was punished. Nnamdi Kanu, British Nigerian broadcaster from London, illegally abducted from Kenya, tried under a defunct law, now serving life in Sokoto prison for words spoken in Great Britain. Meanwhile, the northern imam just recently offered a 1 million naira bounty for the head of a pastor, then doubled it to taunt his critics. No charges, no condemnation from officials. I've been corresponding with the guy. He helped him get to a safe house, but he and his family are in danger and they need help. The Nigerian government goes to great expense to rehabilitate the killers while millions of innocent displaced victims are denied, neglected, and dying. The narrative war. The farmer herder and climate change framing started in the Obama State Department. The original reference document was written by a career Sharia propagandist hired by George Soros. At least $10 million confirmed U.S. lobbying contracts are now running. Former Trump administration officials, Nigerian government lobbyists, northern imams, foreign agents, conflicted advisors, and now even Russian state television are among those working to shield this regime from accountability. The real narrative is this. Nigeria is in the throes of an Islamic conquest. Since 2009, they have slaughtered as many as 125,000 Christians and 60,000 Muslims. This is not simply religious freedom issue. This is national and global security. The emergency, as many as 10 to 12 million, mostly youth, are now displaced. 50-60% chance of radicalization by 2030 without intervention. Most are denied by the government, who call them beggars and criminals. Without intervention, this could yield 5 to 6 million more jihadists over the next 5 to 6 years. Intervention is not hard. The international community has the money and the mandate to help if the displaced are simply recognized. In 2015, the UNHCR documented multiple displacement camps in Abuja. Today, they deny those camps exist. I have run schools in those same camps since 2020. They do exist. I affirm the cycle of violence is not inborn or inevitable. A lot of Americans write it off. Oh, that's just what they do. Yes, the children who saw their parents hacked to death often come to our schools wanting to go back and get revenge. But I can tell you, with an education, they gain character, hope, and vision, and they want to go back to rebuild. What must happen? Nigeria has long been strangled by radical Islamists, predatory extraction, globalist meddling, and institutional corruption. Working with the Nigerian government to end the genocide is like working with the Third Reich to end the Holocaust. They smile and spin as they wait for Trump to leave office. Since CPC designation, killing and impunity have only gotten worse. Sanctions will not work. Visa bans will not work. They're ideologues, and they'll just pivot east. Intentional denial of recognition and aid to displaced people, intentional denial of recognition and aid in this circumstance meets the legal standard of genocide. This is provable. Indict the Tinubu administration. Arrest them. They're guilty of genocide. And it's provable. Conduct a valid census and evidentiary briefing of the displaced. They are witnesses to genocide and they need help. Investigate the Sultan of Sokoto as a terror sponsor. Circumstantial evidence demands it. We know where the militant camps are. Wipe them out. Bring the enablers to justice. Demand the release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and other prisoners of conscience. Offer asylum protection to them and others threatened by this regime. Ensure a free election in 2027. It can be done for the cost of a Tomahawk missile volley. Tinubu was declared the winner with less than 9 million votes in a nation of 230 million. A free election changes everything. Let the people vote on a new constitution and self-determination. Like so many other British colonial contraptions designed to fail, separation is likely inevitable, and it is just. The time is now. Nigeria is at a crossroads. It will become either a peaceful, prosperous ally or a massive launchpad for global jihad. There is no going back to the status quo. If the world turns away after this unprecedented scrutiny, the backlash will be bloody and absolute. The window is closing. We must call this what it is and intervene now, or the current genocide will grow and draw more innocent blood, not just there, but here in the United States. Thank you.
Oh yes, that is a very powerful speech coming from Mayor Mike Arnold, and in fact, he has said everything the way it is here. In fact, this man is a God sent from heaven to come and intervene into what is happening in Nigeria, mostly for the Christians, mostly for the people who the government has abandoned. because if you look at his speech, starting from the first stance till now, how the government has been attacking him and how he's been fighting the government also, and the people that has been by every day in Nigeria, how he's calling for help from international body so that people will help them. But the worst part of it is the president, the vice president, the senate, the vice senate, and all of them sitting, they will be claiming that everything is okay. That in fact Nigeria is so peaceful, more than the most peaceful. Nigeria is the most peaceful country in the world. It is what they used to claim. But at the end, come into the country if you can stay one night, meaning that you have, in fact, you are the most powerful man on earth. Those people who live in Nigeria see hell. Those who are in Nigeria, it is not person will tell you what you see after morning reach, because every day a lot is going on. But the government, they will tell you that everyone is happy the way country is. That in fact Nigeria is so happy to the extent that they are praising them every day. That is what he used to go out and say around the world. In fact, this man, God will use it to review everything and to fight the fight to the end. We appreciate him and we tell him kudos that he should continue with his good work. God will keep on giving him wisdom to do more and to review more secrets what is going on in Nigeria, because at the end, the problem we have in this country is when ordinary man speak out the evil that is going on, then the government will now come and catch you and be asking you where is the evidence that you are instigating violence and you are instigating hate, just like what the people, what Mazem gonna have said a lot. Everything that is happening today, he said it, that Nigeria is turning into a jihad, into Islamist, into Islamic nation, but people ignore it. They don't understand what he means. But today, everything is coming to an end, and everybody is seeing it. In fact, but who that is sponsoring it? They are the government. They are those in power. They are those that is chasing power by all means to remain in power. That is the people that is sponsoring everything. In fact, a lot is going on. A lot is happening. I'd like to hear your comment down below. Like, subscribe, and share for everyone to see things going on in this country.